And live and direct back with another rendition of Monday Night Live right here on LA Tribune TV. Super excited because this week we actually have a subject matter for the folks watching at home that is very timely, Natalie, and that's how to overcome fear for both life and for business. So, Natalie, I'm curious, what is it about this particular subject matter that you think we've got so much fanfare about this last week since we announced it? Why is it that people are so interested in this subject matter, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's simple and yet complicated at the same time. A lot of people feel fear, especially if it's superimposed from society. So there are so many people who are afraid of taking the next step because of the negativity surrounding it. So if we can help them tonight by identifying why they're afraid and how to overcome it, because all of our panelists have done it and we've done it, then I think they will be able to take that step towards the quantum leap that they're supposed to be in for this year.
Absolutely. And that's a great segue, of course. It gives us a chance to talk about the upcoming event that we have in, I think, just about 2 weeks. Of course, the Quantum Leap event, which we're very excited about. We have some real incredible speakers that are lined up to be a part of this event. So mark your calendars, 20th and 21st. Of course, we have, lots of living legends. We even have one of the stars from the film The Godfather, which I'm very excited about personally. So we're going to have a lot of fun in that 2-day event. And with that, Natalie, I'm real excited to bring in our awesome guest speakers, because what I know about each and every single person that's about to speak is they've had to overcome a lot of fear. They've had to overcome this in their life and in their business. And I'm excited to hear what they can share about the subject matter, because I know there's someone watching at home that's going to hear something and have a breakthrough. And so I'm very excited about that. And we want to thank the people in the virtual auditorium. Pankaj Dayal, I don't think we've ever seen this name before. So welcome. If this is the first time you watched us, Pankaj, welcome to the community that we're building here. And let's go ahead and roll in this great group of people. Wow, I know some of our community knows a couple of the people here, but let's just do a quick introduction around and also speak about what is it that you think of when you hear the word fear. Let's start with you, Christopher, please. The floor is yours. Just brief intro and your initial thoughts.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me here. You guys, my name is Christopher Rausch. I'm the No Excuses coach. And my initial thoughts when I think about fear in this point in my life is I think about it as excitement. I think about it as an opportunity to challenge ourselves, to grow, and to become who we really need to be.
That's very exciting. Talk a little bit about, Christopher, before we move on. You mentioned you're the No Excuses coach. And I think that makes you uniquely qualified to speak on this particular subject matter. In your line of work, what are the excuses that you hear so commonly? Is fear one of those excuses?
Yes, actually, the number one fear usually is fear of failure, fear of rejection. In that combination, they're afraid of the judgment of other people that they are pining for to get their validation and their acceptance on. So they're afraid of not fulfilling their expectations of what they're supposed to be, so they don't take any action and they're paralyzed by it. So yeah, I definitely come across a lot of excuses. And then as we whittle them down, we find out that there's not a lot of foundation in those excuses, and we're able to move on.
Very good. Thank you for being with us. And let's go now to Kim O'Neill.
Hi, thanks for having me tonight. Yes, so I'm a confidence and interview coach, often working with heart-centered professionals, but currently seeing a pattern of high-achieving, spiritually conscious people really looking to have more harmony between their head and heart, really deepening their connection with others, which also means connection with themselves. And I also host a podcast called the Every Day is a New Day Show. And what comes up for me when I think about fear, I mean, first and foremost, it's, of course, right along the lines of what Christopher was saying, but it also looks like resistance to change, right? It also looks like self-doubt. It looks like fearing judgment or anxiety about judgment, whether that would even be real or just this perceived, oh gosh, I'm going to be judged and people are going to think I'm awful or whatever it might be, right? So those are just some of the initial thoughts that come up. But of course, we could take fear in many, many directions. So I'm excited for tonight's conversation.
Thank you for that. And we want to say hello to Scott and Larry and a couple of the people in the virtual auditorium and Besad. Let's go to Michelle Farrell. Michelle.
Hello. Glad to be. Hey, Goldie, welcome. Glad to be back again. I'm a financial advisor, so I run into fear every day when people are talking about money. When they're also, I deal with a lot. I deal with a lot of business owners, so they're always, they got a lot of fear. And for me personally, that means I'm excited about something. That means it's something that I actually care about, and that means that if I have some fear, that means that I really want to go after it because there's something in my gut that tells me like this is important to me.
That's very interesting, and thank you for bringing that perspective to the table. And J.R. Andrew says, Goldilocks, you are truly amazing. We don't disagree with you, J.R. So with that, thank you, J.R. Andrew, for the intro. Goldie, the floor is yours.
Look at all of these eloquent, beautiful, everybody's speaking so clearly. And I know a lot about fear, Mo, and I appreciate you having me on this panel, but I'll just be the oddball wild card in the corner. I'm busy looking at Christopher's room. Is that what is the flame? That's a guitar or bass?
Yeah, it's actually a guitar. It's a Bret Michaels guitar.
God, your room looks amazing. And Michelle, you're just wonderful. You're so encouraging to everybody online, and Kim, beautifully spoken. Natalie, you said something really interesting in the very, very beginning that caught my attention. What was it? And I forgot it because of the guitar, the Bret Michaels.
Well, I don't blame you, Goldie, because the show's been going on for about 4 hours now. So it must have been at the beginning of the show. So
Mo, there's always the consummate asshole in the group, and I think I can say
absolutely.
That. You're welcome, Mo. And that's the interesting component that I was thinking about when it says in fear and in business. Now, I've always dated this guy. I'm sure Michelle, Kim, Natalie. I've always dated this guy. I don't know, and I won't say I've had family members, but they're always the fear of finishing something. Because then if it doesn't work out, then all eyes. And it's so the paralyzation is what I've just seen in my life with partners and in business. And there's something to be said about like, I work with somebody now that's just like jump out. They don't even look. They just, but there's a good balance there. And I tend to just try to get things done. Hello. I try to get things done. It might not be perfect. And David Meltzer had something today, Mo. It was concentrate on the progress and not perfection. And that really resonated with me. That if you're moving forward and you're doing something, then, be happy and be proud and don't be paralyzed by the fear. So, that's when I hear fear, that's what I think of as I wish I could just be like as positive as Christopher and Michelle and be like, oh, I'm excited. I'm not. I'm usually scared shitless. And that's what most people are. Most people right now are scared big time and they put on a great face, but like they're terrified. And I think the being the most fearful is just from what the noise. I think if they really sat down and like analyzed everything and looked at it, it's not as scary as everybody in the world right now is saying. That was long-winded, but
it's interesting, Goldie, because you talk about the fear of finishing something. I know as a musician, and I'm someone that started my career in the music industry, and I can totally relate to that because how many songs, Goldie, and I know Christopher has a background as a musician too. How many songs have we started and we never finished? Right? Probably our best work as people that, are either musicians or have a background in that. Our best work is probably still on the cutting room floor because we never finished it.
That's a good point. That punch back, circle back to me. Go ahead.
Absolutely. But I want to bring Christopher in on this and then we'll go back around. Christopher.
Yeah, no, absolutely, guys. What you're talking about, it barks right up my tree. It's interesting because I think what happens is we build an expectation up in our mind when we start out to do something like, okay, when I do this, it's going to be this, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be this. And we almost get almost like a psychological sunk biased approach to it. Like if it can't be that, then I'm not going to even try to work on it because it's never going to match up to my expectations. And it's almost like a subconscious shooting of the foot. I used it in my own personal example. I have a 69 Dodge Charger that I've had since I was 18 years old. And I found myself not working on it, not finishing it. And I was like, why am I not doing this? And I sat in the garage for a couple of hours and a couple of cases of beer and I got to it. And I'm like, my expectation of what it's supposed to be, what I thought it was going to be, isn't going to be that at this point. So what I need to do is I need to readjust my perspective on this and re-engage my passion for enjoying the process of rebuilding the car as opposed to what the end result is. And I liked how you said that, because so often we get tied up into, the end game, right? We're taught to think with the end in mind and work backwards. So for me, when I think about that we don't finish something, it's that perspective of, if it doesn't measure up, then I don't want to do it. And especially if we went out and told everybody about it, like, hey, I'm going to make it this, and we're not going to make it that, then we have to go back and it's like, well, yeah, I'm still working on it. We always get away with that. Like, oh, we're still working on it. Oh yeah, it's going to be next year. And nobody really holds us to the fire and says, well, is it going to be next year? Then what's the plan? And that's why I love coaching and accountability partners, because then we push past those self-limiting beliefs.
I want to go back to Goldie because I know she had something to say on this. Goldie, do you want to piggyback? Do you want to piggyback off that?
No, I was going to say what you were saying about the songs and all that is that there's something to be said about something that you're doing that it's a pure reflection of you. You know what I mean? It's not like it's the account that you're trying to close for Bob over here in accounting, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's a direct reflection of you. And then Christopher, what you were saying, something that I learned in modeling and commercials that I want to share with everybody that is listening and watching. This is so powerful to me. It has carried me throughout my life and helped prevent fear. Is when I've got something really big that I'm doing or that's coming around the bend, like I don't tell anybody until I've gone on the audition, I've gotten the response, I've got the part, I shot the part. The part is not only is it going to be on TV, because that gets pulled like 3-4 times or years go by. When that thing is going to air and they send me the email and I know, or it aired, I tell people to go back and watch it. Then it's like, if you've got that car in the garage, that old like Shawshank Redemption, remember the poster and like digging out the dirt behind it. And then he blasts out of there and he's free. Like that car in your garage, like I'd be working on that and I wouldn't tell anybody about it until I'm driving this, it's done. So if there is something that you're fearful of, okay, well, just keep it on the down low if you can, or, do it in your spare time and then come out running. You can do it that way too, so that you're not paralyzing or shooting yourself in the foot. That's all, Mo.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump in here real quick because I love how we're talking about music, right? I also know that a lot of people are trying to write books or have written books or even an article. Goldie's also a columnist for the LA Tribune. So it's also, I think, whenever we create something that exposes something of ourselves. Yeah. And I got to bring this example in because we have like 4 ladies here. Sorry, Chris. But I always compare it to, we're never ready to give birth, right? Women are never ready to give birth, just like guys are never ready to be dads. But there comes a time when you can't stop it. The baby is there. It needs to be pushed out, right? And you're still never ready. So if we're looking for perfection, which both Chris and Goldie mentioned, that is shooting yourself in the foot. Sometimes you just got to let it out and try the best that you can, right? And so, I know that's for authors because they're always holding on to the book. And it's like, I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to let it go. And I just, no, you got to let it go. Put the book out. You can do a second edition. You can do a third edition, right? So I think it's that perfection piece when we try to reach a level based on somebody else's judgment. I don't know. What do you think, Michelle and Kim?
No, that's such a great point. Kind of going back to the first part on the unfinished business. I have a fear of success, because it's like, what happens if I hit this milestone? I hit this particular goal, then what? Now people are going to expect this of me. Am I going to be able to do this again? I don't want to fail anybody, so I'm just not going to achieve anything in the first place. And that's always been a big one for me. As much as I fear the failure, I fear the success as well. Because now, and it's living up to that perfection that you're talking about, Natalie. It's like now people are going to have this idea, this perception, this expectation of me. And really, when I just get into the present and what I'm doing today, even to talk about what Goldie said, about dating, about being vulnerable and being open, if I just live in today and if I'm just present today, then the fear just tends to melt away. It's but if I think about, well, what happens if it doesn't work out with this woman I'm dating, or what happens if this firm I just started doesn't work out? What am I going to do then? But if I stay in today, like I know today, then I'm really happy. I know my firm is, we're doing better than we've ever done before. I'm personally doing better than I've ever done. And it's because I'm just in today, and I'm not allowing the fear to control my life anymore.
Well, it's really interesting, Michelle, because when you first want to become successful, you have nothing to lose. And then when you get some success, suddenly you have something to lose. So that totally changes the mentality and mindset that we go about using. But what's interesting is it actually brings me back to the words of Buddha, because what Buddha spoke a lot about was this idea of not being attached. And so if you're not attached to your success, if you're not attached to your image, if you're not attached to the way that people perceive you, it actually gives you freedom to be creative. And going back to the music metaphor again, since there's a lot of musicians on this particular panel, it's easy to make that first hit song, right? But it's the second hit song that you have difficulty with, because now you have something to lose. I want to real quickly go to the virtual auditorium. We have, I believe that's Helen Wilson, says hello, Kim O'Neill. Did I pronounce it correctly? I think so. Helene. And we have Dan, who said hello, Goldie, from me and Tilly. We have Arturo Gonzalez. Hey, Goldie and everyone. We have, believe it or not, a second Arturo. This one is it must be the Arturo week. Arturo Carrillo says woo. Pankaj Dayal really enjoyed what Chris said. He was moved and inspired by that. So thank you to everyone in the virtual auditorium. And, I want to take it back to you, Christopher, because I know as the No Excuses coach, you have so much that you have dealt with people, helping them have this kind of breakthrough. But really, when it comes to people that come to you and say, Christopher, I have a fear of success, kind of like what Michelle just shared. What is it as a coach that you start doing at that point?
Immediately, I ask them a very simple question that I ask them to tell me the answer without thinking about it. And I ask them this. I say, do you love yourself? Yes or no? And God's honest truth, over the last year of COVID, I've given out a lot of complimentary coaching sessions, and I've asked that question because people are like, success evades me and all these different things. And I just learned, I'm like, let's get to the root. And that's what I'm all about, is getting to the root of the problem. Okay, let's dive deep. Do you love yourself? Yes or no? I found that probably about 70 to 80% of the people that I talk to, and maybe the people I'm attracting, there you go, maybe, but people had a hard problem accepting and loving themselves based on some sort of, if you dive into the conversation, some sort of childhood belief or trauma that happened that pinged them to have this belief in their system, like, okay, as long as I stay safe and I stay within this zone that everybody else feels that I should be in, then I don't have to worry about losing that validation and losing any part of my sense of self-worth or my sense of self-validation. And so what we do is we get them to reshape that perspective, right? And immediately, to keep it simple, I go to the perspective, when you look back at that situation, is there a way you can look at it to make it working for you as opposed to against you? And how can we reshape that to be one of those opportunities in your life where you got to learn something, you got to change the way you were doing something in order to get a different result? And now that you're here at this particular moment in time, that's telling you something. We need to move past this. So are you willing to move past this? And are you willing to have a different opinion and perspective about the future rather than the fear of the success and the fear of disappointing? And that's what we just really dig into, finding out where it is that they came up with this belief. Because when you think about it, guys, when we're first born, we can do no wrong. We can poop, we can cry, we can stay up in the middle of the night, we could do anything. We could smear our food everywhere, but then something comes along and all of a sudden we start getting this. If you get good grades, then you get this. And we get into this trap of these perspectives, and we're never taught how to handle those emotions and how to handle and process that from other people in society. We're just told, do your best. Okay, what is that? Right? So it's some of my thoughts going back to it, but I would love to hear everybody else's answers on this.
I love it. And if I may go back to Kim, because Kim, you mentioned earlier resistance as well. So and I love what you said, Chris. Yes.
Well, yes to what Christopher and Michelle were both saying. I was going to add in the whole fear of success thing. There can be this misperception that the comfort zone is the safe zone, but really when we dive into it, it's like, are we actually happy in the comfort zone? It may just be that that's what we've been used to. That's where we've been staying for so long. And there's actually an unease, which is telling us, oh, it's time to move forward. It's time to spread our wings, do something new, be in that space of being detached from an outcome so that we can have some creativity to move and flow with whatever's new that's showing up. And I had another thought I wanted to share with that. yeah, I have found that a lot of times it is fear of success that can prevent a person from moving forward, because it's like we think all the excitement is in, well, what I'm growing and building now, but if I accomplish it, what if there's nothing else after this? So maybe it's safe and best for me to just stay here. And to me, that's where the faith and trust starts to come in. You were never doing any of this alone to begin with, and it's starting to wake up to that reality and have that aha when I'm in that fear space. Well, that's right. I'm not doing life alone. And just like Natalie was saying, you're never ready to birth that baby. You're never ready, but it's going to come anyway. And so if we can surrender into it and start to relax into it, and that's where being in tune with our emotions really helps us to find some ease into that space, so that it's not like squeezing ourselves through a pinhole, which can be very, very uncomfortable and like a dark tunnel that's filled with fear. So that's what comes up for me.
I would suggest that perhaps the antidote to that, Kim, although I agree with everything you said, I'll say the antidote to that is to be journey focused and be process focused and not outcome focused. I think that we live in a world where people are so outcome focused, attached to the outcome, that it completely destroys and it causes them to really go through unnecessary pain.
Yes.
But when you are focused on the process and when you're focused on the journey, what's interesting is it actually helps the outcome inevitably as well.
Right.
Because what is going to cause the outcome? Not the outcome by itself, but the journey. So it's only natural that if you focus on the journey and that's where you put your focus on, the outcome naturally is going to become substantially better, for lack of a better term. Although, we can have a philosophical conversation on what better means, but for lack of a better term, it will be better when you're focused on the journey itself. It goes back to that old axiom, one of my favorite quotes. The journey is the reward, right? Yes. Not the outcome, but the journey is the reward. Christopher, it looks like you resonated with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Then let's take it around. And I'm going to let Natalie rock the show for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, Mo, is it's absolutely just ringing my bell, because I was recently got caught up in the same exact thing. I was caught up in the results, and I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling stressed. Now I'm feeling like I need to perform. I'm feeling that I have to do something versus I get to do something. And for me, a lot of what I do with my coaching clients and myself is I catch myself on what verbiage I'm using in the particular moment of something. So when I think about that particular situation, I just really go into the fact that, what were we when we were kids, right? We were curious, we were adventurous, we were open-minded, we were about, finding things out and figuring things out. And that's what I go back to, as being in the moments, because, with everything that's gone on with COVID, everybody wants certainty and they want familiarity and they want it to go back to normal. There is no normal, guys. I mean, when you think about it, I could drop dead in 5 minutes. An earthquake could happen here in Southern California, and me and Mo could be like, whoa, if you guys are in Southern California, anything can happen. So why not be in the moment? And that's what being a dad has taught me about that, is just be in the moment, enjoy everything, be grateful for it. We could talk about gratitude as a way of overcoming fear is massive. But yeah, that's my perspective on it. Just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Don't be tied to an outcome. Obviously have invested interest in what you want the outcome to be, but enjoy that process, because you can open up your mind and maximize your creativity and your energy so much more effective than if you're worried about what the end result is.
Absolutely.
I want to add.
Sorry, Kim. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Kim.
I just wanted to add that, as when we were talking about the trust and faith piece, and I know Christopher was talking earlier about the self-love piece. The self-love leads to self-trust, leads to being able to trust and open that the universe is going to provide resources, and there will always be a safety net, and I can always pick myself back up. So it can be so scary and just out there to think, well, I'm just going to trust. It's one thing leads to the other, and so I just wanted to add that connection between them all.
Perfect.
Yeah. Goldie, you look like. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'll go after Michelle, because I wrote my notes down. I can't see them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool.
No, I just wanted to piggyback on what Christopher and Kim was saying, because it's all about what we're telling ourselves, and it does start with that love, that self-love, because what we learned growing up from either our parents or our peers or our teachers or our first employers, they set a lot of times a negative soundtrack in our mind, and so we have to take that verbiage and we have to basically create a brand new soundtrack, a brand new album for us to play for ourselves. And it starts with that self-love. So that way because we're the only ones that could really get us out of any jam. We're the ones that could get ourselves out of that comfort zone to start new and exciting things. And so one of the things that I do when I get stuck in fear is I'm like, or, talking about the comfort zone, I'm like, it's uncomfortable. Like it's, it's scary. I'm like, no, it's exciting. It's new. It's different. And that brings up my vibration. And then all of a sudden I'm attracting more stuff. Everybody around me is happier. And then that just then just snowballs into a better journey. My days get better, and each day that's better, and I string a whole bunch of those together. It really is amazing. And so it goes to like not focusing on the end result, because not to kind of be a Debbie Downer here, but what happens if you never get to that end result? What happens if you cross the street and get hit by a bus? Now you've been building up to this, successful career for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you never get there, but you never enjoy the journey along the way. Or you've been trying your whole life to become a professional athlete, and you blow out your Achilles before you even, make it to the draft. So I've learned to really, what can I get out of today, and how can I show up the best? And when I do that, like all of the negative stuff just absolutely disappears.
I want to go to Goldie real quick because Michelle, you talked about being a professional athlete, and she worked in the for many years. She worked in the professional wrestling industry, and I'm curious, Goldie, in your experience going backstage with all these professional wrestlers, and you worked with CM Punk and all these really well-known people. What is it about the people that didn't make it? Did you experience a lot of people that were so attached to the outcome? Because Michelle's talking about people that worked, to be a pro athlete or something like that. Did you see, Goldie, that from your experience, you saw how a person could be destroyed by being too connected to the outcome as opposed to loving the process?
Yeah. And, like I've got a couple notes that I wanted to make about something that Christopher said and then tied in with Kim, Michelle, and Natalie. But so I get these like huge, and I hope my people are watching, because everybody thinks that I'm just unbreakable and unstoppable. And I am. But I get these huge wafts of, and Mo, I got to tell you how weird this is. And Christopher, I know you'll get this. The Untouchables up until 1999 to 2020, the Untouchables, the elite, the rock stars, the Hollywood, this, that, the musicians, the actors, like all of a sudden it just got completely flipped. And it for me, being a mid-level person right now, still climbing in different areas, I'm not 20, I'm not going to get that record deal anymore, but there's other things that are like a record deal that I'm climbing for. And then all of a sudden everything just gets completely turned around, where people that I've idolized are now going out and doing things that the not so glamorous people have done all along. And it's really freaky, because I'm like, where's the balance now? So you have to just breathe and take a step and just say, well, now it's those people that work at Walmart's turn to really be the freaking rock stars, because their job never went away. Those stores never closed. You know what I mean? And the fast food, it's like there's been a shift. And you have to stop and like everybody's saying on the panel, find some joy and excitement in that. It is really scary though, Mo, being around all of these people, because there's only so many wrestling leagues that are out there. You know what I mean? It's not like a record deal where you can go make your own demo in your basement in your bedroom and get it out there and get some streams. And like, there's only a few. Now there's a few more in the code.
You can thank Vince McMahon for that, by the way.
There's only a few places to really do that. So when you're in it, it's like you can just smell and feel and sense the fear. And I mean, we all know my story of how I left professional wrestling and lost my TV show is the fear that somebody else saw having me get camera time. Like they just wanted me out. They're like, she's getting too much camera time. We got to get her out. It was their fear. The very person that I brought into the organization and helped get a job is the one that fired me. But Mo, can I just make a quick point about
please Goldie, continue. The floor is yours.
Well, no, just Christopher said the self-love gimmick, the self-love deal. Like I've always loved myself. I always will. I haven't liked myself. I didn't have a perfect childhood by any means. There was a ton of abuse going on, but like Michelle was saying, you recreate, you change the soundtrack. There's something to be said about that, because the old goofy adage about like tomorrow's a new day. Pretend you moved across town And if you're not getting dates or you're not getting laid, then decide that you are. Decide that you're hot and walk into the room and be like, damn, I look good. Go to the makeup counter, buy $35 worth of makeup, Michelle, and have them do your face up and just go show up places where whoever you're looking to attract is going to be. They're not going to be in your house. You know, wear your mask, do whatever you got to do, but go out, move, physically move yourself. And one last point that I wanted to make: in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in St. Louis Park, Mo, you know it well. I remember a big television show that I was doing, and the makeup artist, they brought in this renowned Vanity Fair, did all of the original supermodels makeup. Like she was, and I was so honored. She was like $2,000 a day back then to do makeup. And I remember her name was Mary, and she would just go, pretty. She's so eccentric. And I'm like, okay, pretty. Thank you. And I got to know Mary and I got to know her story. And we talked about all of these super models, the originals, and how once they got up there, Michelle, massive drugs, massive heroin, massive cocaine. And I couldn't understand as a little girl, like, wait a minute, you've got the cover of Vogue, of Vanity Fair. Like, why are you doing drugs? And Mary said, oh, honey, it's because there's nowhere left for them to go. It's so much that they have to numb out where they are to just zone out so that they don't start fearing the failure and the going back down. And I just remember, and here's my point that I wanted to make, deciding, well, that I'm not going to ever use drugs, and I'm not going to ever be afraid that I'll just keep on climbing and I'll keep on scraping and scratching. And if you had an unpleasant experience as a child, if you had this shit hit the fan, you know what? I would use that as I'm going to do something with that. I would use that as fuel to say, I survived that. I'm doing okay. I didn't have a beaver cleaver childhood. There are so many gifts from those wounds. If you just look at it, just sit the hell down and look at it a different way and say, all right, I got something else to work with, and use that to look around and see the pain or the fear in other people and team up with them. Lock arms. Oh, you like to do this? I like to do that too. There you go. Now you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're talking to somebody else, and you have 50% more of a chance of making it to your end game and enjoying the journey. That's all I was going to say. The Mary makeup story really just like penetrated me as a child, because I was like, I can't believe that that's why people are using drugs, is to numb out how good it is.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, Goldie, because you ended up actually getting that limelight when you were on a hit TV show on TNA. And here's you with Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, X-Pac. And I mean, you were really in the center of wrestling. I mean, you worked with CM Punk when no one knew who CM Punk was. And he was kind of someone that at that point in time, you had more screen time and airtime than CM Punk. So it was very interesting to hear the stories of you coming out of the wrestling business and translating that in different industries that you're in now. Christopher, I know that you have something to add to this. I can just tell by those eyes. Please, the floor is yours. Then everyone else just contribute whatever's in your hearts.
Yeah, no, what she was saying, it's absolutely massively important. It's the fact that, you know, seeing people give up on their dreams and seeing people, you know, kind of come to that end of the road. I've seen that in the professional speaking stadium. I've seen people that have been, you know, because the misnomer is that you're going to be an overnight sensation, right? And especially in the world of today, in the Amazon world of today, everybody wants that overnight sensation kind of mentality, but you have to be in it for the long haul. When I look back at my trajectory of becoming a speaker, a professionally paid speaker, and a coach and a show host and everything else, you know, that started so many years ago, and you just have to stay unstoppable. That's why I smile when you said unstoppable, because that's part of my branding. I mean, the truth of the fact is that I got a tattoo on my arm that says, "What doesn't kill me only makes me stronger." Yeah. So that's why I'm the no excuses coach, because I'm like, you know, so you've been through some stuff. So what? Keep going. If it's that important to you, you have to keep going. And I've had people that should have been, quote unquote, should have been way more successful than I was or I am, and they gave up. they were just like, okay, I've been doing this for 8 years, Chris, I got to give up. And I'm like, no, you don't, dude. You just have to do things differently, and sometimes, I got pushed on this a couple of days ago on an interview show, and I was glad I was. They're like, well, isn't it sometimes we do have to give up, Chris? And I'm like, absolutely. Sometimes you have to see the writing on the wall. Like, okay, I started a restaurant business 3 times and it's gone bankrupt in 6 months every single time. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be in the restaurant business, but if you're doing something and you're scaling and you're getting a little bit better each time and you're impacting people, for me, it's always been about the impact. Like, am I helping people? Am I making the world a better place for who it is that I am and what I do? Absolutely. If I drop dead, 10 minutes from now, my legacy will speak for itself. But seeing some of those people give up on themselves and kind of retire to the fact that they're not what they once were is such a sad state. And I've actually seen that personally in the old folks homes. When my mom was really sick for the last couple of years of her life, I would interview people in these elderly facilities, and I would ask them the question, if you had your life to do over again, what would you do differently? And that's when I got turned on to the 5 regrets of the dying and figure out, okay, what's my hinge point that's going to make me unstoppable? And that's going to be no regrets. I don't want any regrets. I don't want to look back on my life and have that perspective that I gave up or anything else. So it's just about, redesigning your life and looking at it that it's not about numbers anymore. Some people sit there and think, oh, why should I start? I'm 65 or I'm 60. I just coached a 69-year-old woman to earn her freak flag and to go live her life. And she's more excited than ever. I'm like, with technology and everything else, we could be living to our hundreds. I'm 52 right now. I'm just barely getting fired up. I ain't giving up for nothing. Love nor money. I got my sights set on what it is that I'm going to do. So that's where I'm at.
That's awesome.
I think it's all about being clear on what do you actually want, because it's okay if you realize I've been doing something for 8 years and I'm not really getting, I'm not seeing the success that I want, and I don't actually want that anymore. So I'm going to pivot and I'm going to change, do something new. That makes sense. But if your heart is still set on that thing you've been doing for 8 years, then absolutely don't give up, because that's giving up on yourself. And like you said, just switch it up. So I think that's a key point to make, because a lot of people can start to doubt, is it okay for me to want that thing, to keep going for it? Well, other people don't think it's good enough. It's not their dream. They're not going to want to keep putting into something like that. But if that's your dream, you owe it to yourself to keep moving in that direction, for sure.
Michelle, are you going to talk? Otherwise, I'm going to add to that.
What Kim was saying is perfect. We were, I was at a meeting this morning and we were talking about, Simon Sinek, and it starts with why. So it comes back to, why are you doing whatever you're doing? Because if you're not sold on that, the fear is going to be way greater than anything else you're trying to overcome. So you have to be passionate. At least I know I do. And everybody that I know that's successful is passionate in what they do. And so I just wanted to piggyback off what you said, Kim. What is your why? Why are you doing, whatever you're doing? What you're doing in your career? What are you doing for your physical fitness and your health and your relationships and your faith? What are you doing that? Because otherwise you're just, you're going to be stuck in that comfort zone.
Absolutely. There was something that Goldie was touching on something earlier, and the word vulnerability was popping up, and it had to do with when you were speaking about Hollywood. And I wasn't quite sure what exactly you were touching on, but you started saying people in Hollywood are now doing things that people who aren't in Hollywood have been doing for years.
It's just, Kim, it's, and so I'll say, like, a lot of my nationally touring act friends, these are in the bands that you pay a crap ton of money to go see. Like, they're now getting the real estate license, or they're now becoming this or that, or now they're getting and that's great. Like, realtors are rock stars. We all have our thing, but it's like, there was a shift on what was cool to be. And it's very, very odd, because I looked up to movie stars, and now, most of them are doing things. Well, I won't get into that, but people are doing what they got to do. And it's just interesting. That's what I was just saying. It's scary for me, because you, as an entertainer, you're either on top or you're on TV and you're the hot thing, and you're getting you have a ton of marquee value, Kim, and you're making $20,000 a personal appearance, which is great. Just go quick, make that quick money. And, then you think the people I remember Duck Dynasty, their personal appearance for a day for the cast was $350,000. That's good money. That's great for a day of thinking around and barbecuing and doing something at a corporate event. And it's now, nobody's doing anything. Now most of those guys are probably out, getting a job, not them, but a lot of people are, in delivering, or they're doing Uber Eats, or they're doing whatever they got to do. And it's a shift. So for me, I'm not on TV right now, but I want to be. Now I'm just like, I said, I don't freak out for too long, but there's like this overwhelming, like whoosh, like, what are you doing? You think the top Hollywood elite aren't working right now. Like, how are you going to get a job doing it? And that's where you just have to just say, all right, I'm done. I'm done with this noise. Like, I'm going to do that by just not paying attention to anybody else and not competing. And I'm going to look forward and I'm going to compete with myself and time. Because I have always done, I'm like, you remember the SAT tests when you didn't know the answers and you just heard everybody going, click, pencil down, click. And you're just like, like the beginning of the Van Halen, Waldo video. And you're just freaking out because you can hear everybody's putting their pencil down. You're like, crap, I'm not even third done. And you panic. It's like that pencil dropping noise. I've just learned to just like, I don't want to hear it. I cancel out and I go work on whatever it is, my car, my this, my that. You talk about your firm, Michelle, whatever it is, you have to cancel out the noise. So that's what I was going at. Like Kim, for me, I'm usually unstoppable, unshakable, but I've had some moments in 2020 and even in 2021 where I'm just like, okay, what are you doing? But you can't think like that. You got to go back to what Christopher is saying. You just cannot. And that's what I was going to say. Like for the people that are listening, we saw Helene, who was like, tonight is the night that I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. Okay, well, here, I want to be in people's face and go back to like reality. Like you can talk the talk all you want. And then it comes time to personal responsibility. Are you willing to make the sacrifice? Or are you just daydreaming? And then I'm not Helene, I'm not cutting a promo on you. This is just people. Are you willing to do the sacrifice? Are you willing to do make the choices that somebody if you're a little kid and you want to be a race car driver and you want to do this and that, then you got to start thinking like that. And you can't go do this and that. Like you've got to be somewhat focused. For me, I'll share something very private. I knew at 8 years old, I was never going to be a mom. So Natalie, when you're like, it's got to come out, good for you. You great mom, nothing came out of here and it never will, because I decided when I was 8 that I want to be in entertainment. And I just knew that's not fair to a child for the entertainment that I wanted to do. It doesn't mean that people don't do that now and it works and they juggle it and they have all this. For me, I knew it's just not a good idea. So, I made that conscious choice. So it's like, whatever it is that you want to do, be fair to the other people. Don't marry some person knowing that you want to just be on the road all the time. If it happens later on and you hook, okay, that's great. But like, don't lead somebody else on for your own selfishness or your own benefit. Like, think about the people that are surrounding you with these dreams and the goals that you have, and either find somebody that's going to work well with you, or like I said, early conversation beginning of dating these guys. Don't just, date somebody who's going to don't lead them on. Be personally responsible with what it is that you want to do. That was the point that I wanted to make. That's very important for people to understand that.
I love that. And that actually brings up a question, though, a related question. And I agree, we have to be absolutely responsible. And whenever we're pushing something out, whether it's a song, whether it's a child, we're never ready, whether it's a new show. I mean, there's so many things. When we're talking about fear and when we're talking about trying to overcome the fear, because I think we've all had moments, or if you say you didn't have a moment, I'm sorry, I don't believe you. But I think every single person has moments once or twice a week where they go, what am I doing? Or what am I thinking? Or am I really good enough? If you claim you don't, then I don't know who you are. However, in that moment, how important is it to have partners, collaborators, people who believe in you? And I'm not talking necessarily coaches, but how important is that to overcome fear, in your opinions? I know how important it is for me, but for you all, how important is some support system?
Makes a huge difference, because when you feel like you're wilting, other people are there to help pick you back up. It's easier to see, it's easier. I just posted something like this in my group today. It's easier to see the beauty of a butterfly who can't see their own wings, right? Mm-hmm. But everyone else around them can go, oh my gosh, that butterfly is so beautiful, so capable. And so that's what a support system really helps to do. And they're beautiful things. Yeah.
And I would echo that 1,000%. Actually, Scott Goyette is a buddy of mine. He's my co-host on my Friday night show, The Unfiltered Experience. And we actually just got through doing our group coaching program, and accountability is massive. I look back on my trajectory, and up until the point where I started investing myself heavily into masterminds and coaching on my own, that's when things really started taking off. And it was, you know, the tidbits and everything else were really great, but having to be accountable every week and having, you know, hey, Chris, are you going to make these promises? Yes, I am. You make that commitment, you make that investment, and then you show up and you make the changes. Otherwise, you have to come face to face with the reason why you didn't, especially if you're investing money into that situation. So accountability, I've done accountability partners, and while they're great, you know, for me personally, I see the investment process is where the accountability really takes hold, because we got to have people that are going to call us on our BS. You know, our best friends are supposed to be the people that do that. And I did a post a while back. I'm like, do you tell your best friend the truth when they ask you an honest question? And it was amazing. You know, some people like, yeah, shoe shine, like looking down, like, no. If we were all honest with one another and said, hey, listen, you know, because that's one of the aspects of talking about fear is who are your 5 or who are your 6? Are those people sitting there saying, yeah, go do it. Yes, we're going to make it. We're going to figure it out. Dude, you're unstoppable. You know, or you got, oh, well, you have to think about this. 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 And you really shouldn't do it because blah, 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 blah. Come on. No, you need accountability. You need self-accountability. At least in the beginning, you need to be accountable. Figure out what your dream is, what your mission is, what your drive is, what your why is. Like you said with Simon Sinek, absolutely. And then you're unstoppable.
Great point. Someone jumping in, or I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, go Goldie.
I just did a tweet, bros. Hope you're listening and putting y'all over. So my point is when I do school talks, Christopher, everyone, I love to talk to people about pick your friends and choose your friends by who chooses you. They might not look exactly the way you perceive or think somebody's supposed to look that's on your team or your 5 or your 6. They might not dress that way. They might come from different. And so during the pandemic, I hope you guys are listening because I'm putting you over. During the pandemic, we started a Patreon, an artist community. And here are all these, like, you guys are all nuts. I look at your walls. You're into weird stuff, some of you, and you have just built me up and supported me throughout the pandemic. And we had Dan Hawkins right here. Dan's like a patron. He's booking cameos. He's buying things. He's helping out. You know, Rick was on there. We've got half of these guys that have like horror dripping all over their walls and whatnot and other things. And yet you're the first people to rise up and support me and help me. And I cannot wait to meet these people in person when we're allowed to do conventions and conferences again and just give them the biggest hug. We've got people across the pond, like all of you. Art, just, you saw him. Art was the first person to sign up. Like, these are dear people to me. So look for the people who are showing you love and then give them, you know, love back. I think that's just so important to have the support system. But you don't know, you know, you ask God for help, but you know, he's going to bring it how he brings it. It's not, might not look the way. And people used to always say, oh, you're going to meet somebody someday. And I'm like, no, I'm going to meet somebody and he's going to be this tall and this, and this, and he's going to be like this. And then like God or the universe or Buddha or whoever you believe in, you know, comes around the corner. Hello, R2. I just put you over, bro. They come around the corner and you're like, what is this? This is not like, and then all of a sudden somebody's weird ears don't matter as much, or maybe they've got ugly feet or they've got hair coming out of their nose. And then you just go to the Dollar Tree and Art, listen to me, go to the Dollar Tree and you get $1 tweezers and you just say, bro, come on over. We're going to trim that off, you know, and you help them. Or maybe they've got some, Dan, I just put you, I gave you a shout out, you and your cat. You tell people, you know what? You got some extra love, bro. Get to the gym. Here's what we're going to do. There's an app for this. And you're going to bring your calories down. Like, so expect great things and expect friends. But don't expect them to look exactly the way that you think that they're going to look.
Yeah. Be open, right? Be open to however they show up. Yeah.
German. She puts it in two words and I talked about it.
No. I love what you said because it's so important. It's most of the time in critical situations, people show how much in integrity they are. And that's when people fall off, right? So, but Michelle, I think you were gonna add something too.
Yeah, I mean, associations are so key along with those accountabilities. And I know for me, like I surrounded myself with people that make me like that unhealthy, uncomfortable, and really make me step up because they've I've seen them walk through their fear, and I've seen them, and I know they have that same crazy mind that I do. So if I leave my crazy mind unchecked, like you won't see me, I'll be deep under the covers, hiding from that fear and all of that stuff. So it's so key to have those accountability partners and those associations of those people that surround you and love you when you can't love yourself, and say, you know what, you could do this. Just walk through the fear. You've got this. Let's go kill it today. Because sometimes you can't see that for yourself. And then they remind you of, don't shit on yourself. That was, that's something that, don't shit on yourself. You get the choice to do this today. So let's choose to live today. Let's choose to enjoy the journey. Let's not shit on ourselves. We don't have to do anything we don't want to today. But when I get to do something, when I want to do something, that changes the journey for everything. And then all of a sudden, accountability doesn't suck so much. And being honest with myself doesn't suck so much. And just life becomes more enjoyable. And we've got one life to live. We live every single day. That's actually my word for this year is live, and it stands for love, intentional, vitality, and empower. So when we're living by that, all the fear is out the window. Like, life is just amazing, and I'm hopefully helping other people have an amazing life too.
Thank you, Michelle.
Bam. Some mic drop. Mic drop. See, that's a mic. Boom. Mic drop.
Love it.
So we have a few people in the virtual auditorium. Pankaj Dayal says Goldilocks rocks. I have learned to appreciate all of Kim O'Neill for encouraging me while I've been going through testing for cancer again. Thank you, Kim O'Neill. Wow, that's a very touching message there. And one of my favorite quotes from Dan Hawkins, one of my favorite quotes is mind over matter. Sometimes in life, the negative matter impacts and weighs down on the mind heavily. When the mind is clear, that stuff doesn't matter. Mind over matter. Incredible, Dan, and everyone else in the virtual auditorium. Thank you so much. We're at that point in the show now where we're going to wrap it up. So we're going to give everybody a chance to share their final thoughts on this week's episode and what they want to leave our audience with in conclusion. So please take the time to really get everything off your chest that you've been holding in, and don't worry too much about time. We just want you to be able to really express what it is that you want to share with our audience. So let's start with Christopher, and then we'll work our way down. Christopher, the floor is yours.
Wow. This has been such an awesome experience, guys. I've loved having this conversation with you. So thank you. The last thing that's on my mind, Mo, and I think about this opportunity is that, I was just explaining to somebody the other day, I'm like, have you ever had a bad dream? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, describe to me the bad dream. I'm like, oh my God, it was this, that, da, da, da. I'm like, okay, describe to me how you felt and what you were thinking when you woke up. I woke up and I was sweating and my heart was racing. And I was like, and I said, then you came to the realization that the event didn't happen, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, it was just in your mind, right? Yeah. Nothing physical happened, right? No. Okay. So that's the same thing that's going on with fear. We put something in our mind and then our body manifests that reaction to it. So the same thing can work in reverse. So if you look at visualization as an opportunity, I've used visualization to get people to quit smoking, to get people to go to the dentist, to get people to do all the different things that they said they couldn't do. Because again, ladies and gentlemen, the language we use will indicate the results that we get. So oh my God, I'm afraid of the dentist. I'm afraid of that. Are you afraid of having all your teeth open and getting sick and dying? Well, then get over your fear of the dentist. Let's talk about that. Oh, I don't like the sound. Okay. You're going to let, that kind of thing. But when you really put that into play and you think about what you're afraid of and you visualize in your mind over and over again, that going well, whether it's a conversation with your boss asking for a raise, whether it's a conversation with your spouse talking about something that's going on, whether it's a conversation with your kid, whatever it might be, whatever your goal might be. For me, visualization every day, I visualize myself walking out on a stage and I see 20, 30,000 people and it's playing AC/DC Highway to Hell. And I'm walking out and I'm seeing everybody just rocking out and they're just having a great time. Like, oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fun 3-day event. This is going to be happening. So am I scared? No. Am I fearful? No. I'm excited because I put that in my mind. I build that up every single day. I feel the emotions. I know it's happening. And every day I ask my spirit guides and everybody else, please put me in contact with the people that are supposed to make this dream happen. So ladies and gentlemen, you can sit there and play this someday game, hoping, wishing, and praying that sometime that you're going to get your wish and you're going to overcome your fear. Or you can start today and say, listen, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. This is what I'm going to do in my life. Every single day, I'm going to take one action. I'm going to move the needle just one bit every single day. 365 days later, look at everything that you've accomplished. Don't sit there and get encumbered by the overall goal. Look at it as bite-sized chunks. Look at it as an opportunity to go through and learn and experience that mistakes are really stepping stones to where it is that you want to be.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think this is the song you're referring to. Of course, it's a classic.
Oh,
Let's
Hell
go
yeah.
to Kim O'Neill. Kim, the floor is yours.
Okay, there's so many extra things that I could say. I think I will end with talking about the mind over matter piece. Absolutely love that was commented on, because I completely agree with that. Our mind plays a huge role in what we think about ourselves, what we think about our possibilities, what we choose to take action on. And if we do have those negative, lower vibrational emotions that are coming up repeatedly over and over and over, a mind over matter approach may not be the healthiest. And so I just have to highlight that, because actually it may feel uncomfortable. Oh, I keep feeling whatever it may be, fearful, or I'm sad, or I've got these things in the past that I keep trying to forget about. And maybe they're coming up because it's time to finally feel them so you can release them and move beyond them. And so there can be this misperception. Something's wrong because I keep thinking about that. I keep feeling something about that. And if we can take time to actually go, wait a second, let me just be with this for a moment, breathe through it. It's going to actually dissipate and release much, much quicker than trying to force it and will it away. So that's what I want to add.
Thank you for that, Kim. And let's go to Michelle Farrow.
Thanks, guys. I want to actually share a personal experience I went to. I realized the date today. It was 12 years ago that I had a pretty significant back surgery, and the recovery did not go well. A year later, I was in my doctor's office. I was 35 years old, and he says, "You're never, ever going to work again." And the fear that overcame me was immense. It was crazy. I was suicidal. And then I made a decision I wanted to live. Because I had a friend show up and check up on me, and she just kept calling me day after day after day after day. And then I made the decision to live. And now 12 years later from the surgery, I own my own financial firm. I work 50, 60 hours a week, and I love every minute, well, almost every minute of it. I get to be on panels like this. I'm active. I go on walks. I'm going to start learning how to kayak. And so just making that one decision, that one time, has made this huge ripple effect throughout my life. And it's been tough, but I've used therapists, I've used coaches. They've helped me overcome the negative thinking that I've had. They've been able to tell me that I've been able to do it every time I've had that doubt. So I have fear every single day, but it's making the choice to walk through it, to know that I'm stronger than anything that my mind, like this false evidence appearing real. Somebody put that in the comments earlier. My mind is stronger than those false stories that I've told myself. And now my life is beyond anything that I could have. And just like Christopher, like, I'm just getting started. So just all you have to do is walk through the fear today, this one moment, this 1 second, this 1 minute, this 1 week, and you can have a life worth living, like an unbelievable life worth living.
Thank you, Michelle, for giving us that gracious gift of your vulnerability, and for really allowing us to be a part of your incredible story. Let's go now to Goldie.
It's top of the hour. Do I have 1 minute or do I have 2 minutes?
Take your time.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if Roku cut you off. Didn't want to be the talk show guest with the host looking at the watch and the Emmy music playing. You know what I'm saying? God, that's my biggest fear. You're talking too much. Clearly, you see why I'm fearful. I want to say to Helene, who is vulnerable and let us know what she's going through, to keep showing up places like this. Look for positive, healthy, educational places to keep your mind on that. And that is what's going to just carry you through any cancer, any dis-ease, is just stay on the track. You are in the right place, girl. And we're all pushing and thinking of you and praying and putting positive thoughts. I don't even need to know you. I don't even know these Indians that show up each week, and they are a big deal to me. You're going to have to tell me how to say Panj. How do you say his name, Mo? Panj? Say it. He's not going to say how does it say? Pankaj? Pankaj. Like, he and a couple of these guys showing up, like, you totally make my day. I see you're engaging on social, LinkedIn. Thank you. Again, who you keep, the people that you surround. And I'll say somebody that has taken and carried me through is Mo. Mo, you are just such a inspiring entrepreneurial spirit. You've always got something great to say. And just Natalie, the team that the Los Angeles Tribune has and the people that it attracts is just number one, numero uno, top notch. So if you're listening and you're watching and you want to get through your fear or any other crap that you're dealing with, just keep on tuning in here Monday nights and all of the other great content that the Los Angeles Tribune and the Roku TV is going to be providing you. That's all I was going to say. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Goldie. And, you know, I could tell that you were very touched by that comment from the woman that was expressing what she was going through. And I do want to take a quick second to bring up eye cancer. Can you go ahead and plug a little bit about the work that you're doing, Goldie, for people that do have cancer? And I'm going to give you the floor again to talk about eye cancer for the next couple minutes and how people can support you.
Again,
okay, please
there you go.
Take the floor.
Mo, I would have never said anything that. So ICANCER, iCancer.life. You know, just go look at the website. So there's some really cool inspirational products on there that, you know, people buy for other people or they buy them for themselves. You see these great videos on Instagram and online of like, there's a young girl and her mom is shaving her head. And then all of a sudden the mom takes the razor and, you know, shaves the mom's head too. And the girl starts crying and you feel that emotion. Like, I'm not alone and I'm in this with somebody else and we're all in it together. Like, that was the whole reason that I came up with this movement and brand, I Can, is so that if you have somebody that's going through this right now or is recently diagnosed, that you can be rocking a shirt or a mask or something to let them know that they have support. And Mo, when the COVID is clear and we can get back into hospitals and go out there, it is my goal and not just dream, because I know it'll happen, to have those shirts folded on every hospital, treatment center, wherever. If you see there's the CER can't, you know, cut off, like I want the shirts folded on the bed so that all you see is the I Can. And that is the first message that is imprinted on your brain and in your heart, that when you're admitted and you're scared and you have fear, that you're just positively reinforced right then and there that you can. And that is the key for a lot of people being healed in any disease, is remembering that you can, and to laugh and to surround yourself with goodness and positivity. And like we talked about, all of us making the point during this show is cancel out the noise. You don't need to hear any crap. Just cancel it out. And as Michelle said, today is not the day. Michelle, you come back and say close it out with your shit on comment, because it was brilliant, whatever it was. Anytime anybody's cursing on a stream, I'm all there. Like, that's real stuff. So thanks, Mo, for saying that. But Helene, you just keep on marching along and do your thing and keep taking notes from Kim, and I know you'll be fine. I'm already done thinking about it. You're good.
Thank you so much, Goldie. And with that, guys, I want to thank everyone in the virtual auditorium and all of the incredible panelists here for doing such a great job. And same time, same place next week. Remember, everyone, to keep the faith. Thank you very much. This has been a presentation by the Los Angeles Tribune. Until next week.